terrified boy wakes up in hospital, nurse comes to the rescue. Hospitals can be pretty scary places to be, especially when you're little, and this is the heartwarming story of one wonderful nurse doing, well, just doing what nurses do best. It's all too often the case that we don't end up there for the most joyful reasons, and this was the case for poor Slade Thompson. He'd recently undergone 2 successful surgeries after his mum realised he wasn't walking properly, always being up on tippy toes. Even though Slade's surgery went well, after a couple of months in a wheelchair, poor little Slade found himself back in the children's hospital to have work done on his tonsils and adenoids. This was when poor little Slade's troubles began, because unfortunately his mother, who had been taking such good care of him, simply couldn't be there when her son woke from the anaesthetic. The family had to wait outside. But Thompson felt sure her boy was in safe hands, and boy was she right. Nurse Annie Hagar of UPMC Susquehanna Health in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, said that it's all too common that little ones aren't all too happy when they wake up from surgery, and little Slade was no exception. In a social media post which has since gone viral, Nurse Annie Hagar explained that a lot of kids are in a terrible state when they wake up from surgery, but little Slade, although he was visibly upset, was calm and gentle and incredibly sweet. She had to explain to him that although he wanted his mummy, she simply couldn't be there at that point. And that's when the solid new friendship was formed, when little Slade Thompson asked Nurse Hagar for a snuggle. Hagar says the little lad has melted her heart and shared with the world that it's times like this that make her job worthwhile. Well, Nurse Hagar, it's people like you that make life worth living, and that's the truth. We can't possibly underestimate the importance of your kind heart and sweetness towards this little boy in his time of need. And while Nurse Hagar certainly deserves credit for being there for this young man, we mustn't forget that what she did is what nurses around the world are doing every single day to help our babies cope a bit better with life in hospital. Hagar said his small sweet request made my heart so full. As soon as Mum was allowed into the room, she encountered the touching scene, the lovely nurse comforting her little boy, and that's when she took the photo. This pic was only supposed to be a little memory, a keepsake for the family, but it's been shared so many times. And doesn't that show what good souls there are out there who recognise the importance of these little gestures of compassion and human kindness? We need more of this stuff. Nurses like Annie show the importance of a bit of humanity and compassion in a difficult time. And in case you think a picture doesn't really speak 1,000 words, well, that connection meant so much to little Slade Thompson that he brought Nurse Hagar a big bunch of flowers on their follow-up appointment. Needless to say, the hospital are very proud of their staff and have shared the photo themselves. There's a bit of an odd twist to the end in this tale too. Nurse Annie Hagar was actually supposed to be having the day off. She was called in unexpectedly as they needed an extra staff member, so it's a real godsend that Nurse Hagar was even there at all. We want to thank you, Nurse Hagar. People like you make times like this so much easier, especially for us parents. And I'm keen, as I'm sure you are, that we recognise that this is the kind of wonderful work that nurses all over the world are doing for our children and families every single day. Share this with your friends and family.